Yeah. So what I was getting at there, sorry, and Brian even actually said it, I could hear him saying it, is enthusiasm is probably the most important one. And as Brian was saying there, big smile on your face, the children will feed off your energy, they'll feed off your, your actions, your body language, all that kind of stuff. Like it, and I always think the two most important traits you need for a coach and to be a successful coach would be patience and enthusiasm, right? Because the enthusiasm, like we said, if you're up, if you're high, you're bouncing, you're energetic, the children will be too. Because the most important thing is the children are down there for a bit of relief. They want, they're looking for, the time that they're with you is their relief. That should be the most enjoyable part of their day. So what you're looking to do is help them along that you're enthusiastic, even if you have to act. Look, it doesn't matter what kind of a day you had beforehand. Your day has to improve as well as their day when you see them and when they see you. You want them running in the gate rather than running out the gate, if you get me. And then patience as well is another one, right? Because you have a group of children in front of you. You would say you have 30 or however many, right? It's not going to be perfect all the time, okay? There's going to be varying levels. That's just a fact, right? There's going to be children who are excellent. There's going to be children who are in the middle, and then there's going to be children who are probably slightly weaker, which, I mean, look, it's just a reality. And again, from my experience of being a teacher, that in a primary school classroom, it's the same dynamic. You're trying to balance the abilities while also not kind of holding back your kind of exceptional players. You're trying to challenge the exceptional players while also challenging the weaker players. So one way I always used to put it, or still put it, is you're trying to raise the ceiling while also at the same time raising the floor. That all kind of levels are being matched, and that's your challenge as a coach. But again, there's a great analogy as well for the patient side of it, the popcorn analogy, where you could have a vat of, say if you're making popcorn the old style way, you could have a bowl of the little seeds. You could put the same amount of oil in, they're all in the same area, they're all coming from the same place. And you put the same amount of oil on, they're exposed to the same amount of heat, but they're all going to pop at different times. Some of them will pop immediately, some of them will pop together in the middle, and then it'll take a little bit longer for the ones at the end to just go pop, 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 pop. And again, children are the same. So there is a patience factor, because people will not, children, teenagers, whatever, they will not kind of maybe excel at the rate that you're expecting them to all the time. So again, enthusiasm and patience, because one little trick, again, a little trigger I used to have when I was working as a primary school teacher, I could hear the, you'd hear the bell ring in the morning, you'd be getting the classroom ready, and you'd almost sometimes be kind of going, God, here we go again. You'd hear them running down the hall, and it was just a case of, well, look, this is about them. It's not about me. I used to do a thing where I clap my hands together and I'd say, right, that's it, come on now. And once the hands were clapped, that was it. That was my problems were behind me, and then it was out to face the children, smile on my face, welcome to school, again, because, I mean, that's it. You're trying to change their day. And again, if they will feed off your energy. They'll feed off your energy completely, 100%. If you have any kind of negative aspect towards anything, they'll pick up on that immediately. And again, just to relate it back to school again, you'll get an awful lot of, a lot of people will ask, why is it so hard for children to learn Irish, for example, right? Or maths, whatever it may be, whatever subject it may be, right? Hurling is the very same. If they're going home and they're picking up, say if someone's going, you don't need to be learning Irish, or get the Irish away from me, or I'm not helping you with maths, they're going to have a negative attitude towards maths or Irish. Hurling will be the same. If you kind of ignore the hurling a bit and love doing the football, they're going to pick up on that, and they're going to love doing the football more. Or handball or soccer or whatever it might be, they're going to go to where the enthusiasm is. It's just the way it is. It's just a fact. So enthusiasm and patience, that is all you need, lads, to be a coach. You don't need to be a top level player at all. You don't need to have years and years of experience. You can just jump in when you're needed, and they are the two most important things. So there you go. And look, as we see, if you can see the slide there, look at the attention to detail. Again, nothing is taught until it is retaught and retaught. That's where the patience comes in again. Look, you might think, gosh, we did a blocking session 2 weeks ago. Come on, you should know it, you know, because I mean, it just has to be taught, retaught, and retaught. That's just, again, a simple fact. That is the way it is. The first touch, the hand passing, the catching, all that just has to be gone over and over and over again with the same enthusiasm as it was the first night you did it. So whatever it is, and again, planning is the next one. You need to have a plan. Everything won't always go according to plan. You mightn't even do half the plan in the session, which is fine. Because again, it's kind of in a lot of ways, sometimes with hurling especially, it's organised chaos. And there's nothing wrong with that either. You know, no linear patterns. It's not all going to go on a straight line. If you go backwards, forward, zigzag, whatever. It's organised chaos. As long as you can get 2 or 3 essential things in the session, that's it, you're flying. Okay? So, yeah. Any questions?
Cheers, Naoise. Yeah, any questions, you can type them into me, or feel free to unmute yourself as well. The real, some of the points Naoise made as well, his previous experience as a primary school teacher is really beneficial, because when you're out there coaching, you are pretty much, as I see it, you're a teacher. You know, it's essentially the same thing. And as he said, enthusiasm, patience, and then having some plan also is really key. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to jump in, and if not, we're going to shoot on to the next slide.
Yeah. Right. So if you see here on the second slide here, we have, look, every child you think about, look, they're growing up there and they want to play. When I grow up, I'm going to play hurling for Dublin. Where do they want to go? And then the other part, you know, you are a big part of their journey towards playing for Dublin. Now, look, obviously we know statistically, you know, not too many of them are going to be playing hurling for Dublin, and especially in North County Dublin. But that doesn't matter. You're there to encourage them and tell them, yeah, you know what, you will be. But we need to be practicing. What are you going to be practicing? Telling them what they're going to be practicing. Again, encouraging what they're doing. Get them out practicing. 15 minutes a day against the wall. A wall and a ball are your best friends, lads. They are your best friends when you are hurling. What we're doing as coaches, like I said, especially in North County Dublin, it has massive value. A lot of, you know, it mightn't be viewed as a hurling stronghold, but that's fine. We're working now from almost, in some ways, that's nearly better. We're working pretty much with a clear canvas. But now you want to, you know, encourage them, drive them on, that hurling is, you know, as good a sport as you're going to play. You want them down in the field as often as possible. You do a hurling week and a football week. There's one team I work with in Pats and Donabate, and I love the way they're set up. I think it's the under 9s or under 8s. And what they do is they don't have hurling and football weeks. They just do hurling and football every single week. So there's no, you know, because then we have other teams where there can be a kind of a drop off between hurling and football, that hurling can sometimes come down to be the poor relation between the two. But, you know, there's still strong numbers, you know, in each code, but they might be stronger towards football. But there's just one team, and actually there's a girls team as well, and that they share it pretty much. So there's no kind of one above the other. Nobody can only do one. That when you come down training, you're doing both, and it's brilliant. I love it, because again, you're sharing. At the end of the day, it's a GAA club. The GAA sports are, you know, handball, rounders, Gaelic football, and hurling. So, you know, give equal opportunity to both. And again, you're there to help them. Spotting and fixing is a major one, right? The correction of the grip, things like that, right? If you can't control your hurl, how can you control the ball? So this is what you are a huge part of their hurling journey, right? That you're trying to help them along the way. In every single hurling session as well, right? The exercises, they have to be hurling specific, okay? Is a big one. They just have to be hurling specific. You're trying to encourage as many touches of the ball as possible. It should be at least, I would say, at least 1 slitter per child. If you have 30 children, you should have 30 slitters, or if not 40 or 50. Somehow, I know that sounds like a lot, but look, you just should, because it should be when they come in that everybody should put their hand in a bag, pick up a bag or pick up a sliotar out of the bag, and away they go, pucking either with a partner or flicking around on their own, that they're tapping the ball up and down, you're running around. Maybe you might ask somebody, what are you doing? Did you see what Joe Canning did on Saturday? Did you see what Danny Sutcliffe did on Sunday? Do you reckon you'd be able to do that? And again, it's encouraging that kind of stuff from, you know, from the academy. You know, just start introducing names of players that they're looking out for, and then you can say, oh, and some of them might know, they might have parents from Galway, Limerick, Kilkenny, wherever, right? And that you're then saying, you know, you could be like that. You know, did you ever try this? Did you ever try that? Or even just let them off, just watch them. Have free play for 10, 15 minutes at the start while you're watching and seeing, God, he or she is good at that, he or she is good at this. God, maybe we should do a little bit more of that. Maybe we should do a little bit less of this or something, you know. You're maybe getting set up while they're having their 10 to 15 minutes of free play. Then just give a shout, maybe find a partner, strike it over and back with your partner. Straight away, they're getting into striking, be it on the ground, be it from the hand, you know, air striking, as they like to call it. You know, that it's immediately, right? I would say I would have on a list for every hurling session that I do, be it with the academy or be it with an adult hurling team, that there has to be striking every single night. There has to be striking. There has to be, with the academy now, I do dribbling, right? Okay, and always, left, right, as many touches as possible. Okay, so there has to be striking. There will have to be dribbling with the academy, but that would be then once you get up. I would have rising, hand passing, solo running in every single section I do. And again, a lot of those exercises can actually be intertwined, right? So put together. So you might have where you have to control the ball and hand pass it, control the ball and hand pass it. Then you stretch it out and it goes, right, now you're controlling it and striking it, and then you take it out a little bit further and you're catching overhead and you're striking it back. And that could be just in your warm up, you know, 10-15 minutes in the warm up. That, because if you think about it, right, we have the children for 2 sessions a week and maybe a match at the weekend. You have an hour. Depending on field allocations, you have an hour and a half max, right? So you have them for maximum probably 3 hours a week, you know, more than likely 2 hours a week. It's not enough to excel at any sport to only have them down 2 hours a week. So you need to have them touching the ball, hopping it off the ground, catching it in their hand, striking, controlling as often as you can. Even in the warm-up, even when you're stretching. There aren't a lot of stretches that can't be done without a hurl and without a ball. So include the hurl and the ball whenever you can, as often as you can. Even if they're doing lunges, have them with the hurl in their hurl hand, ball in their ball hand, even as early as the academy explaining that. What's your hurl hand, what's your ball hand? You're running in and out or over and back, whatever, make sure your hurl is in your hurl hand, your ball is in your ball hand. Okay? Again, and you're always exuberant, huge energy. Everything is whoa, everything is over the top. Everything you're jumping around, you're shouting, but it's always, you know, smiley face, positive attitude, and boom, right? Warm up as well can be a huge opportunity for, you know, in every group. Look, you're going to have your shy children that will kind of step back and hold themselves back, but you're also going to have, you know, your kind of hyper, maybe challenging kind of messers, right, for lack of a better term. Okay, your warm-up can be a huge opportunity to bring forward the quiet child, or maybe even kind of quell the messer as well. Okay, so where you're trying to encourage, there's a little bit of peer pressure in this, I know, but it's positive peer pressure, where if you have a child that isn't really engaged, or you kind of think, or maybe one of the other coaches might say, God, we need to get him or her more involved in this, and you kind of might say to them, right, I'll tell you what, tonight I want, you know, Sarah or Jimmy or, you know, Joanne or Joe or whoever, I want you to take charge of the warm-up. And if they're still too shy and they don't want to step forward, they really don't want to expose themselves, you might say, well, look, I'll tell you what, pick a friend and partner up, and if you want to do it, great. And if they don't, even still, just say, hands up who'd like to do it. And you might get then the messer fella or girl might step forward and say, I'll do it. And great, there you go. Look, they're straight away, they're bouncing, they're buzzing, they're loving this. I'm center of attention, and off you go. And again, look, if it starts getting out of control, all you have to do, blow the whistle, explain the rules. This needs to be cut back. And if you don't stop, we're going to have to go on to somebody else. Okay, back you go now. Come on, what do we do for the warm-up? And then you straight away, everybody's engaged. And then you go, now, think of it for Thursday night. We want somebody else for the warm-up. Is that okay? Think about what you'd like to do for the warm-up, and I'll pick somebody else. I'm going to watch out now for the best behaviour tonight, and somebody else can be in control of the warm-up. And I'm telling you, you'd be very surprised up until under even 12s, 13s, how many of them will want to be the centre of attention, want to be in charge of the warm-up. Now, 15s, 16s, 17s, they'll kind of maybe even take it on as a kind of a responsibility thing. And again, no, I don't think there's any downside really to it. At 15, 16, 17 and minor, if you're dealing with them, they'll take it on hopefully as a responsibility, as almost a leadership role. And again, it can bring the shyer, quieter player forward, while also maybe, you know, somebody who's an excellent player, who's always the centre of attention, you know, maybe just that they're kind of pushed aside kind of for a minute or 2 or 10 minutes, that somebody else then is brought forward, right? That they're brought out. And then even again, another one, you're sending somebody home maybe on a Tuesday and you say, listen, say Sarah is always very quiet. Sarah, come here, call her aside maybe. I want you to come up with what's your favourite exercise, what's your favourite drill, what's your favourite activity, whatever. And I want you to come back Thursday, think about it, tell me what it is, and we'll do that. How about that? How would that sound? Yeah, brilliant, great, oh great. And she's going home happy. She has a job now. She can't wait to tell mommy and daddy, this is brilliant, you know. And then I'll tell you what, you can have your friend do it and we'll explain it and then we'll show it and the team will do it. You know, just a few little, kind of trying to think outside the box sometimes, right? That you're engaging the children all the time, because if they're not, you're trying to create this positive learning environment, right? You might hear that, especially if you're in a classroom, you know, and you've gone through the dip with the Gigra, this positive learning environment. This is what you're trying to create. That, like I said before, that they're running in the gate instead of running out the gate. If you get it, okay. So again, our roles are huge. They're hugely important. So never underestimate what you're doing, because they're vitally important. You are all vitally important in what we're doing, and it's a great job. And again, look, this is what I'm talking about. Second, if you can see that second slide, or sorry, the next slide. There we go. You're trying to set a good example. They'll feed off it. Another one here, this image here on the right, where the man is down coaching and he's on his knees because he's with the small lads. Another big thing, never take that for granted either. How tall you seem to somebody in the academy. You are a giant to a 4, 5, 6 or 7-year-old. You are a giant. So come down to them, you know, try and meet them at eye level, speak to them as a person, you know, as a teacher. Again, look, saying, I thought about this a million times. As a teacher, I've probably opened 101 million yogurts, yops, frubes, and tied laces. I'm still tying laces, but I've swapped the yogurts and frubes for clipping helmets and correcting a grip. You know, so this is the thing. You're spotting and fixing. You might come down to their level and then explain the thing, speak to them as a person, eye to eye, become less intimidating. And that's again, look, you're setting a good example. You're friendly with them. You're engaging them. And again, the picture on the left, as you can see, look, the two teams are lining up and shaking hands. And just beforehand, actually, myself and Brian were talking of how good the parents actually are and how good the coaches actually are in Dublin, how friendly it seems between the clubs, because I'm telling you, down the country in Kilkenny, it wasn't too friendly. When we were growing up, there was often rows, there was often awful things shouted from the sidelines, but in Dublin it's very good. But that is what we're trying to impose basically upon the children, that, you know, we're here to have fun, we're here, yes, we are competitive, yes, it is a team sport, but also, you know, we're trying to you know, set a good example. It's, at the end of the day, we all have to take part in the sport together and against people and practicing good sportsmanship. All right. Any questions? I see one pop in there. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's how critical is the right grip when it comes to camogie and hurling? How critical is it? I know you said you need to reinforce with the kids, but yeah, question came in. How critical is it that you get the grip, the right grip?
Yeah, so the correct grip. Now, I actually have a YouTube channel as well. It's Naoise CLG, so Naoise and then CLG, where I have a number of videos breaking down things like this. But the correct grip, I think, it's vital. I mean, so there's a reason one of your hands, your dominant hand, goes on the top, because your less dominant hand would find it very hard to control once you start striking on your weaker side, we'll say, right? So again, I break it down a bit on the video. So what you're looking to do is that they're not swapping hands, that your dominant hand, so what will happen is, if they have a hurl that's maybe a bit too big for them, their dominant hand will go down the hurl, and their weaker hand, which should be their ball hand, will go up towards the handle, and they try to almost push the slitter. They try and kind of hit it with a push rather than a clean hurl and strike. So you need to have a correct size hurl, and then you need to figure out which hand is their dominant hand, okay? And even if you don't know, right, I grew up with one of the best hurlers I ever played with was right-handed, but he actually hurled left hand on top. Now, while he hurled left hand on top, he didn't swap his hands over up and down the hurl. He continuously kind of had his correct grip for a left-handed hurler, if you get me, right? But again, he practiced a left-handed style even though he was right-handed. Joe Dean, I just read an interview with Joe Dean. He was the same. He's actually right-handed, but he hurled as a left-handed hurler. But then you have people like, we'll say, Walter Walsh that hurls for Kilkenny, Taggy Fogarty that hurls for Kilkenny as well. They had that exchanging of grips, and they become kind of right side dominant, because you'll still get the power with weaker hand on top. You'll still get the power, but you won't have the same control then to change onto your left hand side, we'll say. So correct grip, it is vital, and the earlier you get it, the easier it'll become then for striking out of their hand. So it's very hard to pick up on when they're striking on the ground, but it's once you make the transition into the air hurling or striking from the hand, that's where it'll really kind of, because they can't figure out why they can't swing on their say their left side usually, because it's because your left wrist then has to control it, and this wouldn't be developed enough to control a swing. So it's very hard for them to strike then cross body, if you get me. So it's vital. It's vital, really, I think. Any other questions?
Sorry, Naoise, it's Oisín here. When I like the idea of having the players take a bit of control, and letting them do warm-ups, let them doing things like that. What age did you start that at?
So being in the schools, I even do it sometimes I genuinely would do it sometimes with baby infants and senior infants. So if it's going a bit wild, now look, it's a bit different if you're at the academy and there's 60 children in one group. Now unless you can divide them and split them up into 3 or 4 groups, when they're in smaller groups, the easier it is, obviously. So when I've been in a classroom situation in the schools, you'd have 25 to 30, so it's a little bit easier because I'll have a teacher and maybe an SNA with me as well. So it's a little bit easier that way. But I would say, as early as possible, maybe, but definitely at around the under kind of 7s, under 8s. But again, a whistle is very important for this, because if you're shouting and roaring, you're going to strain your voice, and they'll react quicker to a whistle than a shout. But I try and I do it at all ages, really. I do it, like I said, with baby infants, senior infants. I do it sometimes in the academy if I have a small group, say less than 20. I might take 2 people out and say, right, we're going to do what Sarah wants to do. What animal movement do you want to do, Sarah? And she might do bear crawls, and then you go, right, everyone do a bear crawl. And you could have them in a big giant circle and they're doing a bear crawler. Then you go, right, thanks for that, Sarah. Now, Jimmy, come out here. What do you want to do, Jimmy? Hands up. Who else wants to come up with an idea? And then somebody might come out and say, oh, I want to do cartwheels. Off you go, then do cartwheels. Things like that. And then, ask them maybe, what games do you want to play? Oh, rob the nest. I want to do the dribbling game. I want to do the striking game. Brilliant. There's a great idea. That's what we'll do. So again, it's any age, and again, a lot of the stuff is trial and error, right? Nobody knows everything. This is the thing. A lot of the learning, even for the coach, is in the failure. Most of the learning is in the failure. You kind of go, right, that just fell into just complete chaos. That was terrible. So you have to reckon and then reassess. If it works, brilliant. I mean, excellent. Here we go now, right? Let's keep it going. But if it doesn't, let it ride for maybe a minute or two and then see, okay, look, that has to stop. I'm going to have to pull that back. I'm going to have to pull that back and go again with something different. But the earlier to try it, the quicker you learn yourself even as well. So any age really, there's no right or wrong answer to that, because it could work brilliantly with the under 7s. It could be horrible with the under 7s. It could work brilliantly with the under 12s or under 9s or 10s, but it could be horrible with them either. So again, it's all trial and error.
Yeah, no, that sounds brilliant. I think it is. You have to try it basically, and learn from it.
Yeah.
And take it from there. But no, great idea. Great idea. Thanks for that.
Exactly. Yeah. No matter.
Just Naoise, just quickly there, I've just put up Naoise's YouTube channel there, so you can have a look. The link is there. And if nobody else has any questions, we'll move on.
Can I just make a comment there, Brian? Just a very good point that Naoise made in relation to having eye contact with the kids. I suppose after a little bit of a session, I found that giving feedback to the kids, even if it's 30 seconds or a minute, that they tend to come back to you the following week and ask you, how did I do tonight, coach? You know, so I think it's a really, really good idea. And especially being down at the eye level as well is really important, you know, especially like the likes of under 8s, you know.
Yeah, definitely, Paul. One thing actually, just on what Naoise said, yeah, down on your hunkers, eye level. Another one is making sure the children have their backs to the sun. Little things like this are, I'm sure a lot of you guys, people know because you've been coaching for a while, but little things like that really add to it. And that point you made, it's funny, I was in one of the schools recently, and a child said to me, "Oh, why do you have your eyes on the ball?" And I said, "Oh, you know, to make sure you're kicking it correctly." I said, "Where did you hear that?" And it was actually from, I think it was one of the kids from your age group. So, you know, I didn't mention put your eyes on the ball and kick it. And I was saying step, drop, kick for the kick pass, but he picked it up from I think it was one of your sessions. And it's just, kids are sponges and they'll absorb all this information in. Yeah, so great point. I think you can go ahead there.
Yeah,
Naoise.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And then so on this clip here, I just have, or on this slide here, I just have 2 images just from the children taking part in the game. So there's, you know, it's a girl and a boy tackling each other there in Crow Park in Go games. And then below it there is a team. I mean, like, you know, in reality, right, I know that the idea with the Go games and all and with coaching children and making sure, the most important part is making sure that they're actively involved, right? That they're enjoying it, that they're taking part. And we're not trying to promote, you know, winning trophies and this and that and the other and being competitive and being too competitive. But, you know, show me the children that aren't competitive, basically. You know, the lads that are turning up there, there's no small game for them. Even the games in training, you know, there is no small match, right? All you can do is, you know, and you'll see tears and people are bawling, crying. It could be a challenge match. But see, again, look, there's no challenge match for these children. Like, there's no friendly game. It's just every match is a match. Every match is Crow Park. Every match is the final. They're trying to win all the time. So, again, your role as the coach then is to, you know, not go over the top. You know, it doesn't matter who wins the under 8s league. It doesn't matter who wins the under 12s or 13s league. You know, what matters is that you're keeping them in the club, that you're keeping them hurling, that you make sure that they're always here, that they're fit, they're active, they're huge club members, you know, that they stay there. And I've often said to the lads that I work with and any other workshop I've gone to or webinar spoken or whatever, if you can get 30 own age group to be playing at minor, at their age minor, you've succeeded. You have succeeded, because if they're there at minor, if there's 30 lads there at minor or girls, whatever it is, at 18 years of age, they are more than likely going to be there into their 30s in one way or another in the club. They might be, you know, a star on the senior team. They might be playing seconds. They might be tipping away in the junior team, but then have a huge active role coaching, going back down again. Or they could be, you know, the club PRO, they could be the secretary, they could be something, right? So if they're there at 18, you have succeeded. So it's your job then to guide them along. Don't ever have anyone telling you, coming along and criticizing you because what you did at the Fela. I mean, well, I remember playing the Fela myself, but I don't remember the year, at my age group, but I don't remember the year before me. I don't remember the year after me. I couldn't have cared less. And, you know, when you think back on it, the club probably doesn't either. You know, they remember the teams that did well. Yes, that maybe might got to a semi-final or a final. Excellent. I mean, it's excellent. It's brilliant. It's part of it. But that's not the be-all and end-all. The be-all and end-all is make sure that they, again, I keep going back to this, that they are running in the gate, that they are coming to see you, their friends, as a relief from stress of school. Maybe they might be doing exams, that they know that, yeah, look, this is, you know, like the word in Irish, you know, fuishiv. God, I can't think of the word in English now, sorry. That it's a release for them to come down to the club, that they can come down, they can puck. And there is nothing more enjoyable. Now, look, I mean, I grew up, I did play football and hurling. I'm from Kilkenny, but I did play football and hurling growing up until I was about 16 or 17. Football took a back seat when the county minors came a calling, and that's just the reality of it in Kilkenny. But there is nothing more relaxing, more soothing than pucking with your friends, be it down in the field. It might be like I was watching actually a Niall Williams workshop there just a couple of hours ago before I came on this, and he made a great point in his workshop where you can still bring them down hurling train and still continue to go hurling train right through the exams. But what you do is you change your training around the exams, where it'll be only first touch, that they're only striking, they're only pucking, they're only controlling, they're only catching, they're only, you know, it's ball to hand, they're striking over and back, and it might only be 45 minutes, and you send them home invigorated. You know, they enjoyed that. It was a nice getaway from the exams, and that they're going, God, I love going down to that club. I actually really enjoy that. That helped me a lot. Okay. And another thing as well is that you're always there. That, right, I know at the minute, right, it's very hard at the minute with the lockdown, that people are worried about losing children and losing players. And look, that the sad reality of it is you might lose 1 or 2 or 3 from your own group, but the door is always open. That's the main part, that you're keep in contact with the parents. Tell the parents, you know, on a text thread, whatever it is, whatever way you keep in contact with them on WhatsApp, that, you know, look, door is always open. He or she can come back whenever they're ready to. I was just talking to Parnell Park about this there actually yesterday with one of our bosses, that I always thought when I came up to Dublin, when I moved from Kilkenny, that the structure of the season, I always found it was upside down, basically. That the summer is the quiet time for some reason with the under, say, 12s and down, and the autumn and winter is when they're kind of busier, back in January, and then they're kind of finishing up in June and July, because I know families go on summer holidays, but sure, what about it? I mean, ideally, especially for hurling, because of the hand-eye coordination and stuff like that, ideally you probably shouldn't really be going back until the end of February, start of March, and it runs the whole December, January, February should be your downtime, and then you go back and you hurl all through the year, the other 9 months. Because I often get as well parents coming up to me in the academy and saying, God, he doesn't like the hurling, or she doesn't like the hurling, but they love the football. And I often say, well, you're telling me this in December, you're telling me this in January. I don't think it's that they don't like the hurling. I think it's that they hate the fact that their hands are absolutely freezing and they might get a bang in the hand then. I don't like that. I'm playing senior hurling with Cuala now at the minute, and I'm in one way glad we're not hurling now, because it's too cold. I'll be honest, it's too cold, and I'm too long in the tooth to be going out there and get my hands frozen. So I can only imagine what it feels like again for a 5 or 6 year old that's just starting out in a new sport, maybe doesn't know everybody in the academy. It can be intimidating, right? So again, sorry, just went on a bit of a tangent there, but like I'm saying, look, you need to create that positive learning environment, that they're always welcome down at the club. Another advantage of playing through the summer, and this is where Kilkenny kind of excelled on this compared to Dublin, is you're not competing with soccer during the summer. We have an awful lot in Pats and Donabate. We have 3 or 4 hurlers I would think of off the top of my head who were exceptional soccer players, who were away playing soccer with the like of Kevin's, you know, etc. But they play hurling on the school team, so they're hurling for their school team, but they're not hurling with the club, because the soccer is on at the same time as the club hurling. So, you know, they're going to choose soccer. But when the hurling is on during the summer, they're going to be down in the club hurling during the summer. So again, it's always having that link. Look, them lads, look, again, statistically, they might make it a soccer. Brilliant. Hopefully they do. I'd love to see them be professional soccer players. I know them. I like them. But again, I also love the fact that the door is always open for them to come back. And again, you know, like I'm showing in the two images there, look, we're there to encourage them. Look at how happy them lads are in the bottom there. They're fist pumping, they're cheering, they're roaring, they're in a big team photo, they're there with their best friends, they're probably having the day of their life. But I mean, there's no crowd there. I mean, there's nobody watching them, but they are in a club environment. They're in a lovely, healthy, you know, positive learning environment that they want to be there. Another thing, just in relation to being from Kilkenny too and coaching in North County Dublin, I mean, look, there's going to be varying levels of skill, there's varying levels of talent. So that's the challenge. That's why it's good. That's why it's exciting. I mean, it'd be brutal if you turned up and they were all robots and they're all the same. And I often say to lads as well, and I'd be slagging people at home, you know, sure, anyone could coach hurling in Kilkenny. Sure, every single person that's there wants to be there. They're all, you know, and people are, you know, chomping at the bit to be down there, to be at the hurling field. They're looking at Henry Shefflin. They're looking at, you know, well, Henry Shefflin's retired now, I suppose, but, you know, they're looking at TG Reid, these lads. They want to be that. That's who they are. That's who the role models are in Kilkenny. You know, and not too many people care about Paul Pogba or anybody like that, but, you know, it's TG Reid is the superstar in Kilkenny. You know, people could hardly care less about, you know, how Man United are doing compared to how Kilkenny hurling team is doing. You know, being, you know, when you're growing up, being a Kilkenny minor is the be all and end all. Next thing then when you're over age for minor, you want to be the senior player and things like that. So, I mean, anybody can coach in Kilkenny. But what we're doing here in North County Dublin specifically is huge. It's huge for hurling. We are trying to promote the game and get people out, get people excited about playing hurling as much as we can. And again, this is our role. I know and again, it's even better again that you lads here are volunteers. I know this is my job. I'm very passionate about my job, if you couldn't tell. But the fact that then volunteers are there, and I know people have tough days, people have hard days. This is where the patience comes into it again, right? Where you might think, God, we're barely tipping along here. Like, I mean, God, are we getting better at all? But then you might, you know, you just have to keep going. It's like Michelangelo, somebody said, it's like Michelangelo chipping away at the rock. You know, you just tapping at the rock, and then after years, here's David. There you go, a masterpiece. There you go. You know, it's worth it. You know, the juice is worth the squeeze, as they say. So again, just back to hurling specifics. Sorry, when you're coaching, look, that we have a slitter per person. They're practicing, once you get out of the academy level, once they start rising the ball, right, that you're practicing straight away, right, hop lift, jab lift, roll lift, you're running around, throwing the ball over back to each other, hand passing the ball back to each other. You know, it's organized chaos. If somebody's walking past, they go, what the hell are the lads doing there? That looks like complete madness. But that they're running around, there's, you know, 30, 40 slitters on the ground, there's 30 young fellas or girls, they're running around, and you're saying, jab lift the ball, carry it 4 steps, you drop it down, you have to go jab lift another ball. Okay, now get your 4 steps and a tap in, and you have to hand pass it, drop it down, go rise another ball. You know, that you're changing it around. Now stop. Now 10 roll lifts as quick as you can. Stand and roll lift, and then you're explaining the difference. Look, roll lift is designed for standing, jab lift is designed for running. Okay, and then look, hop the ball off the ground with one hand. Can you catch it? Hop the ball off the ground with one hand again. Catch it. Run around. Take your 4 steps. That Tony Kelly, you know, hop and solo when you're running. That you know, this kind of thing. You're varying up your warm-up, bring it in. It's all, you know, maximizing the touches, maximizing the amount of times the ball again. Once they get to maybe under 10s, definitely by under 10s, you're trying to encourage them to put their hand on the ball. That once the ball is in that box that is in kind of nose down to waist, that box or rectangle or whatever it may be, that they are putting their hand to the ball. There is nothing that infuriates me more. And even when I'm training adult teams or training minor teams or even playing with fellas as well, there's nothing infuriates me more than when a ball shoulder height and they put their whole there to the way. Look, get that into their heads as young as you can, that they're moving all the time as well. You're moving to control the ball. If you drop the ball, fine. You look, everyone's going to make a mistake. It's not about the mistakes, it's about how quick you can recover from making the mistake. Okay, so again, like I keep saying, look, this is the thing. Look, you're enthusiastic, you're encouraging, you're patient, you're keeping it going, you're pushing it on, and whatever you display, those children are going to suck it up. They're going to soak it up. Like Brian said earlier, the children are sponges. They're going to soak it up, and then they are going to love it. If you love it, they love it. If you're pulling back on something, they'll pull back on something. And again, like I said there, earlier, nothing is taught until it is retaught and retaught. So you can go through the blocking. Sorry, wrong slide. You can go through the blocking exercise. You could probably do the blocking exercise once a week, to be honest. Because again, look, it's something. The earlier you get that done as well, again, the earlier you get it done, even if there's no sliotar involved, that the under 7s are blocking once. As soon as they start doing striking from the hand, they should be practicing blocking as well. Okay. Again, it's all hurling specific. You need to be able to hit the ball, but you need to be able to also protect yourself as well. Hurling, again, from the outside looking into the outsiders, I've had to bite my tongue an awful lot of times with this. That people view hurling as a very dangerous sport. Yes, you'll get cuts, and you'll probably far more frequently have bloody hands, but in all my years playing hurling, I've only broken 2 bones. I broke my collarbone because I was playing in a game I shouldn't have been playing in. I was in second year in school and I was playing a senior schools game, and I broke my ribs in a game against Clontarf recently in the last couple of years there in a hurling match. That was it. Other than that, it's just literally just cuts on my knuckles, and the ball hit me in the fingers. So, the earlier you can teach them to protect themselves, the better it'll be for them, and the better it'll be for you as the coach as well. And again, nothing is taught until it's retaught, and you're patience, that they mightn't get it straight away. And after the 3rd, 4th, 5th session, there you go, look, and you go, we're going into blocking, lads, in 2s, and they know exactly what you're doing. All right. You're going over and over and over again. Yeah, sorry, any questions there? Sorry, I was talking for a long time there. Any questions or any observations or any thoughts?
Yeah, anyone who has
any of that?
Yeah, anyone who has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or type into the chat. Yeah, like I would just reiterate what basically what you've been saying, Naoise. Like all those key points are so valid, and like one of the slides there about the child wanting to play for Dublin, they might not every child is going to play for Dublin, and what's more important is if you can take your squad, your team up to minor and maintain the majority of them. That's a major thing. Or are they, like, the real thing is, are these kids going to be playing in 10, 15, 20 years time? That's the real thing a coach should be looking for.
Yeah, definitely. Because you are, again, like, you're their role model. When you're there with them for the couple hours a week, you're probably more popular than their own parents a lot of the time. And then even sometimes now, I did probably won't have enough time now to get into it because it's already 9:20. But I did a webinar in the first lockdown with Damien Quigley about coaching your own children. I know a lot of you are probably in that situation. I don't have any children myself now, but my father was my coach growing up for years and years. He was I had my mother for a teacher for a year in primary school, and I had my father for 2 years, and he was also coaching me on the hurling teams. So I was able to speak about it from that perspective. And then Damien Quigley, who's a coach with the Leinster Council and is in Wexford. He was able to speak about it from coaching his own child and what his tips are, what he does, what his little tricks are to encourage his own son without kind of forcing him to play hurling, but really kind of basically getting him to be enthusiastic about hurling himself, encouraging him to go out and practice himself, we'll say, that then he'll grow up with a love for the sport. Rather than I'm playing because daddy is making me, kind of a thing. And that's on the Dublin GAA Coach Webinar series. It's called Parents Coaching Your Children. So if you type into YouTube the GAA Coach Webinar series, Parents Coaching Your Children, that'll come up there. And that's again, Damien did most of the work there, and it's absolutely excellent. It's brilliant for coaching your own children, because I know a lot of people do find that tricky. A lot of children find it tricky, sons and daughters. Mothers and fathers can find that very tricky to be coaching your own child. But yeah, that's a very valuable webinar to watch. Just anytime you can watch it, it's up on YouTube there. And just again, look, to reiterate what I've been talking about from the very start, look, on this slide again, look, the only thing you need, look, to be a coach, to be a good coach, to be a good mentor, to be a good guide for these children is be enthusiastic, be a good role model, put on a face. In a lot of ways, look, you're an actor. This is the way I always used to think about it for being a teacher in primary school, especially because you have to teach in primary school, you have to teach every subject. Believe me, I was not enthusiastic about every subject, but I had to pretend to be because they needed, you know, to learn the curriculum. So I had to put on a face. I had to become an actor, and you know, you have to. They will pick up off your vibe. You need to have positive body language, positive language, oral language, enthusiasm, and patience. Like I say, look, patience, patience, patience. Over and over again. Nothing is taught until it's retaught. And again, as many touches as you can with a hurl and a ball, especially in the academy, I would do for just weeks and weeks on end. Every single session, I would do dribbling, that they're touching the slitter left and right, they're crossing over left, right, correcting their grip, the ready position, the lock position, the hurling swing. I remember going to a workshop with Martin Fogarty one time and him explaining the value of the swing, and I remember just thinking about it after. I was like, God, he is dead right there. You know, if you can teach a child, you give the child the gift of a swing, the correct hurling swing, you've given them a gift for life. You have. And you instill in them then a love for hurling, a passion for hurling, which is what we're here to do. We're trying to keep the game going within your club, make your club as strong as possible. And not just on the field. I mean, just, you know, that you created this great, positive club environment. And yeah, hopefully you picked up something anyway, at least. But again, sorry, just a couple of exercises I would have in every single session: rising, catching, first touch, striking, and hand passing. Be it short striking, long striking, shooting over the bar, shooting for goal, striking to the hand. It's, you know, if you can't strike the ball, what use are you on a hurling field really at any age? So just, it should be striking, touching, ball to hand, okay?
Hi, Naoise. Barry Arthur's here, Naoise. Just a question there. If you have a kid that's just not engaging at all, and you've tried all the different tricks and you've given all the enthusiasm and all that, and he's just still not engaging, when does it get to the stage that you have to kind of just leave him there and then concentrate on the rest of the guys? Because obviously if you're spending time with this kid that's not engaging, you're kind of neglecting the other kids. So do you have, like, is there a time you say, well, give him 5 minutes to try and bring him around, or is there, what would your thoughts be on that?
I would just, again, like, this is a tricky one, right? Because obviously, you know, as a mentor and as a coach, you can't really leave any of them behind. We can't afford to leave any of them behind, really. We can't afford to be losing any children or letting any lag behind. But just give them, sometimes, you know, all you can do is kind of encourage them, kind of gently push them along. But again, look, if they don't want, you know, after about 5 minutes, just, you know, leave them maybe for a couple of minutes. They might sit down on the side. I mean, look, trust me, I've been through this 1,000,001 times. They might sit down on the side and they say, look, I'm tired, I'm not taking part. That's fine. Look, take a break, come back in when you're ready. You just come back in when you're ready. That again, you're always leaving the door open for them to come back. And like you said, look, you can't turn your back on the 25 just to look after one. But in some instances, you will have to, and that you're encouraging them all the time. And maybe you might even tell one of their friends, who's their best friend in the group. You might tell one of their friends, go over there and ask Jimmy, is he ready to come back? I think he wants to come back, but just maybe go over and ask him. You know, little things like that. That again, it's a little bit of peer pressure, but it's positive peer pressure, if you get me. And then if he or she does something good, brilliant, highlight it, step out there. Oh, show me that again. That was excellent. What? I have my eye on you. Well done. That was brilliant. That was great. You know, that again. Or then even have a word maybe with mom or dad when they're going home, or send them a text maybe in private, something like that, give them a call, something, just to check in on them. And just, again, you're always trying to make sure that the door is open for them to come back, because you don't, like I said, look, you don't want to be losing any of the children, really. But that can be pretty tricky.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Naoise.
No matter.
Anyone else
Any
there?
other questions?
Yeah. I guess not. I'm going to say last call there for questions before we move on. It looks like I don't think so.
No matter.
Naoise, just want to thank you for your attendance again, and you know, the passion was jumping off the screen there, and
Good.
you know,
good.
it's all really essential points, and I only reiterate everything you've talked about there, being player-centered or child-centered, even having it player-led or child-led, have a session where the children are more involved and giving and receiving feedback from the children or the players as well, I think is vital. But yeah, without further ado, Naoise, thank you very much for your time, and I'm sure we might cross paths again. Perhaps we might get you down in Finns as well. You're not too far away at some stage in the future, hopefully. Yeah. And thanks all for your attendance. Stay safe, everyone, and slán.
Thanks, lads. Slán.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, Naoise.
Thanks.